In this video, we shall be solving linear and quadratic equations simultaneously. Now, we start with an example. We've been asked to solve the simultaneous equations for x. And this is the quadratic equation, and this is the linear equation. Now, how do we start? What we are going to do is that we are going to, from the linear equation, we are going to get y as the subject of the equation, because it's easy to do. So from here, I might decide to name this equation 1. So from here, I can get y is equal to minus 2 crosses over to be a plus 2, plus 5 crosses over the equal to sign to be minus 5x. So this is what I have from the linear equation. I'm going to substitute that into the quadratic equation. So I will say substitute y equal, substitute 2 minus 5x for y in the quadratic equation. Okay, so I'm going to say x squared plus, instead of y, I'm going to have 2 minus 5x, and then we have the minus 8 equal to 0. Now needs to open the bracket. We have x squared plus 2 plus times 2 is a plus 2, plus times minus 5 is minus 5x, and then we bring down minus 8, and that is equal to 0. Now to collect like terms, we have that x squared plus, no, we have to write the coefficient of x first. 5x minus 5x plus 2 minus 8 is minus 6, and that is equal to 0. And right now we have a proper quadratic equation. Now we are going to solve it the normal way we know how to solve quadratic equations, which is to say we are looking for two numbers when we multiply them. So I'm going to have my rough work side here. When we multiply them, we are going to get a minus 6x squared, and when we add them together, we are going to get negative 5x. So the numbers coming to my mind are 2 times 3, that will give us 6, and when we add them up, it's going to give minus 5, and also 6 times 1. Now let's look at the signs these values carry. When we have 2 times 3, for us to get negative value, that means one of them has to be negative, and the other one has to be positive, and there is no way we can have positive value, negative value, add them up together to get minus 5. So these are not our values. But for this, one has to be negative, so the bigger value has to carry the sign of the middle term, and then the other one will carry the opposite sign. So that minus 6 plus 1 is minus 6, and minus 6 plus 1 is minus 5, and minus 6 times plus 1 is minus 6. So since the coefficient of x squared is 1, so it's easy to solve. We open up two brackets. We have x, we place in one of the numbers minus 6. We open up another bracket, we have x, we place in the other number plus 1 is equal to 0. That is for whenever the coefficient of x squared is equal to 1. We'll still see some examples where the coefficient of x squared is not equal to 1. And then we now have some other steps to do from here. So from this, we have that x is equal to the opposite sign of this, which is plus 6, or x is equal to the opposite sign of this, which is negative 1. Now we found the values of x. Okay, even the question is saying solve the simultaneous equations for x. So we just solved for x alone. But for us to get the values of y, because we know that these are coordinate points, what we have to do is we go to this equation whereby we have that y is equal to something. We go there, substitute these values for x. So this is the equation we have. Y is equal to 2 minus 5x. So we are going to say when x is equal to 6, y will now be equal to 2 minus, instead of 5x, we are going to have 5 into 6. so that we have 2 minus, okay, 5 times 6 is 30, so 2 minus 30 is equal to minus 28. And then for the second condition, when x is equal to minus 1, we have that y is equal to 2 minus 5 into minus 1. And then we have 2 minus 5 times minus 1 is plus 5. 2 plus 5, that is 7. Therefore, to write our answer, it's easier to write it in coordinate forms, so that we have these points 6 and minus 28 corresponding, because that is what we found here. So the answers as our coordinate points are 6 and minus 28, and then these other coordinate points minus 1 and 7. We write the x values first before the y values. Now we've been presented with another example which says find the y coordinates of the points of intersection of the line y plus 4x equal to 0 with the curve y equal to 3 minus 2x minus x squared. Now this question is just asking us for y coordinates, but of course we have to find x, and then from there we are going to substitute to find the y coordinates. Now what we are doing is to see different ways that questions on simultaneous quadratic and linear equations can come as. So we have the line, and from the line, that is where we are going to make y the subject of formula from the line. So from the line we have that y is equal to plus 4x is going to cross over to be minus 4x. So that we are going to substitute that into the equation of the curve, that is the quadratic equation. So instead of having y in the quadratic equation, we are going to have it's equal to minus 4x. We're going to have minus 4x, that is for y, is equal to 3 minus 2x minus x squared. Now is to collect like terms. Now I want to make the coefficient of x squared to be equal to 1 instead of negative 1 here. So I'm going to send everything over to this side. Now minus x squared crosses over to be x squared. Minus 2x crosses over to be plus 2x. Now this is its slight term, which is already on this side, minus 4x. And then plus 3 crosses over to be minus 3 and is equal to 0. So that's the first step to do, to rearrange the quadratic equation until it is in an arranged form. Then we can now solve. We have x squared plus 2 minus 4x, that is minus 2x, minus 3 is equal to 0. So we are done with the arrangement. The next thing for us to do is now to factorize these equations. Now I'm going to have my rough work side here. I'm looking for two numbers. When I multiply, I'm going to get minus 3. And then when I add up, I'm going to get minus 2. And the numbers coming to mind is 3 and 1. Now, since we needed to subtract them to get this carries the sign of the middle term, and then this carries the opposite sign. So at minus 3 times plus 1 is minus 3. Minus 3 plus 1 is minus 2. So it satisfies. Now the coefficient of x squared is 1. Therefore, to get the factorized bracket is easy. We just have x minus 3 and then x plus 1 equal to 0. Now the solutions for x is that x is equal to the opposite sign of this, which is 3, or x is equal to this with its opposite sign, which is minus 1. Now we found the values of x. Remember, the question is asking us the y coordinates of the points. So we are just looking for y. Then we come to the equation we said we made y the subject of the formula. We have that y is equal to minus 4x. So we say that when x is equal to this first value 3, we have that y will be minus 4 into 3, which is minus 4 times 3 minus 12. So this is the value of y. Then the other time, when x is equal to minus 1, we have that y is equal to minus 4 from the equation into minus 1 from the value of x. Minus 4 times minus 1 is equal to a plus 4. Therefore, the y coordinates are, okay, that is equal to minus 12 and 4. So that's the value of the answer. On to the next one. We are to solve for x and y coordinates in these equations. So we can see this is the quadratic, this is the linear. We come to the linear, make y the subject of the formula. We have that y is already here, 4 is already on this side, then 2x will cross over to be minus 2x. So we've done this. We now come to the quadratic equation, substitute for y. We already have that the quadratic equation is x squared plus x into y. We are going to substitute 4 minus 2x into that, and remember it is equal to negative 12. We open the bracket in the next step. We have x squared plus x times 4 is plus 4x, plus x times minus 2x is minus 2x squared, equal to minus 12. We now collect like terms and rearrange so that everything is on one side. We have x squared minus 2x squared is giving us minus x squared, and then we bring down plus 4x. Okay, that's equal to negative 12. Now, I want to rearrange so that x squared does not carry the negative sign, so that its coefficient is just plus 1, not negative 1. So I'm going to send everything over to this side and equate to 0. So that's just changing the signs. We have x squared minus 4x, and then we bring down minus 12 is equal to 0. So this is just like sending everything over to the other side. And then we now have our quadratic equation, normal. We now factorize. To factorize, I'm looking for two numbers. When I multiply, I'm going to get negative 12. When I add up, is for multiplication. Then when I add them up, I'm going to get negative 4. Okay, the numbers coming to mind is 6 and 2. 6 times 2, 12. Then since I need to subtract them to get this, then this carries negative. That's the sign of the middle term, and this carries the opposite sign. So that's minus 6 times plus 2 is minus 12, and minus 6 plus 2 is minus 4. So the coefficient of x squared is 1. I just open brackets, x minus 6 and x plus 2. It could come in any order, this and this. It doesn't really matter. Then for the values of x, we have that x is equal to the opposite sign of this, plus 6, or x is equal to this with its opposite sign, minus 2. So we found the values of x. Now on to the values of y. Okay, we have here that y is equal to 4 minus 2x. We now say when x is equal to 6, at that point y is equal to 4 minus 2 into 6. 4 minus 2 times 6 is minus 12. 4 minus 12 is negative 8. Okay, the second condition, when x is equal to this other value, negative 2, we have that y is equal to 4 minus 2 into negative 2, and then 4 minus 2 times minus 2 is a plus 4. 4 plus 4 is equal to 8. So we found the values of x and y. Now, remember the question is asking us for the answer in coordinate forms. Therefore, the solutions are, now we open up a bracket. This value of x, 6, with its corresponding value of y, negative 8, and, or we can say or, and we open up a bracket. We have this value of x, negative 2, with the corresponding value of y, 8. So this is the solution to the simultaneous linear quadratic equation. We also have another question. At what point does the straight line y equal to 2x plus 1 intersect the curve y equal to 2x squared plus 5x minus 1? Now, that's still the same thing. At the points where they intersect on a graph is the solution to the simultaneous equations. You can go ahead, pause the video right now and solve on your own. Then later you come back, let's solve together. Go ahead. All right. So now let's solve together. Remember, we already have this already as the subject of the linear equation. Therefore, all we do is to substitute the linear equation to the quadratic equation. That's equating the two sides. Since y is this, y is this, so 2x plus 1 is equal to 2x squared. Or let me start with the quadratic. The quadratic says 2x squared plus 5x minus 1 is equal to the linear side equal to 2x plus 1. Okay, we are going to collect like terms. We have 2x squared and then we have plus 5x. 2 crosses over to be negative 2x. We have negative 1 already. Then plus 1 crosses over to be a negative 1 equal to 0. We have 2x squared plus 5 minus 2 is plus 3x. And then we have minus 1 is minus 2 equal to 0. Now we factorize. We are looking for two numbers. When we multiply, we are going to get, that's 2 times minus 2. We are going to get negative 4 when we multiply. And then when we add them up, that's the sum. We are going to get plus 3. And the numbers coming to mind is just 4 times 1. Now, since this is a negative value, that means just one of them has to be negative, the other positive. And the bigger value has to carry the sign of the middle term. This carries the opposite sign. So that plus 4 minus 1 times minus 1 is minus 4. And then plus 4 minus 1 is plus 3. So we come here. We don't just substitute like that. The coefficient of x squared is no longer 1. It is more than 1. So what we are going to do is we are going to replace this middle term plus 3x with plus 4x and minus 1x. So we have 2x squared plus 4x minus 1x, or just minus x, minus 2 equal to 0. Now we group them in twos. We have the common term here is 2 and x. 2x into x squared is x. 2x into plus 4x is plus 2. And then on this other side, the common term is negative 1. So that we have x plus 2 here equal to 0. We collect the bracket x plus 2. And then the outside terms, 2x minus 1. And then equal to 0. We have that x is equal to negative 2, or x equal to 1 over 2. Okay, you remember how to do this, right? So we found the x values. Now to the y values. We substitute into the linear equation. The linear equation, remember, is y equal to 2x plus 1. So when x equal to the first value, negative 2, y is equal to 2 into negative 2 plus 1, which is equal to 2 times minus 2 is minus 4 plus 1. Minus 4 plus 1 is minus 3. When x is equal to this other value, 1 over 2, we have that y is equal to 2 into half, not 2 and half. 2 times half plus 1. 2, anything times half, that's just over 2. So 2 times half is 1 plus 1, which is equal to 2. So we found the coordinates of the points where the line crosses with the curve. We have that the points are the solutions, the points are, we open up a bracket, this value of x, negative 2, with the corresponding value of y for that, negative 3, and this other point, half, and the corresponding value of y, 2. Easy enough, right? And I believe you got that. Now we have these two. Now, why do I choose this? Because we have x squared, y squared. It's just for us to know that it's still same thing we do. And this is still a quadratic equation because the highest power is 2. That's how we know a quadratic equation. Okay. Find the two values of y which satisfy the simultaneous equation. So this question is just asking us for the values of y. But we know we have to find the values of x first, and then we substitute into the linear equation and find the values of y. Now, what we are going to do is that we have from the linear equation that y is equal to 5, which is already here, minus x. And then we come to the quadratic equation, we substitute that value of y. So we have x squared minus 2. Instead of having y squared, we are going to have 5 minus x squared equals 1. Now, you can pause the video right now and go to a rough work side and then do this just 5 minus x squared. Then when you come back, we are going to have that x squared minus 2 into, we have 5 squared is 25, 2 times 5 times minus 1 is minus 10x, and then we have a plus x squared. So this is the solution to this bracket, equal to 1. Now we multiply by negative 2. So we take it step by step. We can't do this whole sum together. We can't be multiplying this and this squared. We have to get the squared value, and then we now multiply by negative 2. We have x squared minus 2 times 25 is minus 50. Minus 2 times minus 10x. Remember, it's minus 2 times, not just 2. We have plus 10x. No, plus 20x. That's 2 times 10. And then minus 2 times plus x squared is minus 2x squared. It's equal to 1. We collect like terms. We have x squared minus 2x squared is minus x squared. And then for the coefficient of x, we just have plus 20x. And then for the constant values, we have minus 50. 1 crosses over here to become minus 1. Minus 50 minus 1 is minus 51 is equal to 0. Now remember, it's easier to work with having x squared, the coefficient of x squared equal to 1. That is positive value for x squared. So we are going to change all the values. That is like sending everything over to this other side of the equation. We have x squared minus 20x plus 51 equal to 0. Now this is the quadratic equation we are working with. Okay, now we have to factorize. We are looking for two values. When we multiply them, we are getting 51 plus 51. And then when we add them up, we are getting negative 20. Now, don't give up on 51. 51 can actually be divided by 3. Because any number, when we add up the digits, it will be divided by 3. Then that means 3 can divide it. 5 plus 1 is 6. 3 can divide 6. Therefore, 3 can divide 51. Now, when 3 divides 51, we are going to get 17. That's 17 and 3. And we can see that 17 plus 3 is 20. So this is factorizable. Now, we have to add them up, right? We have minus 17 minus 3. And so that minus 17 times minus 3 is plus 51. And minus 17 minus 3 is negative 20. So since the coefficient of x squared is equal to 1, so this is an easy factorization. We have that x, we pick up one of the values, which is negative. Let me just do that here. X minus 17 and x minus 3. Any of them could come first. Now, the next thing for us to do is to now say that x is equal to plus 17 or plus 3. So, remember we have to, these are the x values. We substitute into the linear equation that says that y is equal to 5 minus x. We now say when x is equal to 17, y is equal to 5 minus 17. 5 minus 17 is negative 12. When x is equal to 3, y is equal to 5 minus 3, which is equal to 2. Therefore, the coordinates of the point, okay, find the values of y, okay. the values of y, which satisfies the simultaneous equations are, that is these values, -12 and +2, or just 2. So that is it.